Hello and welcome everyone. It's the Leviathan, and since we have a influx of new players a little bit, I'm seeing a lot of posts on Reddit, on the Dark and Darker Reddit, where people are asking general stuff about builds, classes, what to do, what to build. So I wanted to start a series of guides where I will be going over a bunch of stuff, and I will start with classes, what they do, what's the purpose of each class, the gameplay loop, approach you should take, gear, stats, what to focus on. And I wanted to start with Barbarian and Fighter. Today we'll be discussing Barbarian. I think Barbarian is one of the most noob friendly classes because it is considered one of the easiest ones to play because it's the game style, play style, and gameplay is just kind of W key and run into your enemies and hit them with heavy hitting weapons and kill them. So Barbarian currently in season 10 is one of the strongest classes, I would say. There are no weak classes. Actually, it's debatable. Some would say Druid is not in the best spot. Some would say that Bard is kind of weak now. I don't agree with any of them. I think each class has its niche place and is strong in its own unique way. Of course, it depends on a situation, on a build, on approach, and on an environment you're playing on. So these builds that we'll be discussing today will vary depending on the game mode you play. So depending if you play solo, duo, or trio, it might vary a bit, but generally speaking, the approach will be the same. So let's start with Barbarian over here. So Barbarian is one of the tankiest and heavy hitting classes in Dark and Darker. It's the definition of full melee class. The class itself does not have much ranged options. The only ranged options you have are Francisca axes, which are throwables. You can buy them from woodsmen. They cost 20 gold each. The price will go down depending on how much affinity you get with the merchant and how many quests you do. But starting with 20 gold a piece, a stack of Francisca axes is your only range option. If we will look into, let me stash it all up. If we will look into the base stats of a Barbarian, we will see it is quite heavily on the upper end on vigor and strength. So the class itself is very tanky. It has a lot of HP, and to compensate that, Barbarians have low agility and dexterity. So it is kind of designed to be a slower class, but don't let that fool you, and we will come to that in a bit. We will discuss that part in a bit. So, your stats that you want to focus on Barbarian, despite of being in a trio environment or a solo or duo environment, will be Vigor, which will give you more health and tankiness, and Strength, which will let you hit harder. You can also prioritize Dexterity, allowing you to swing your weapons faster. There was a time where barbarians would stack Agi, but agility got nerfed. They were doing it to be faster, and this is more like a solo build where you try to stack as much agility as you can so you can be faster and get on top of people. Since you are primarily a melee class, you need to somehow reach to your opponents in order to fight them and kill them. As for perks and skills, there are many versatile builds you can do. All of them eventually will revolve around one thing: you getting close to the opponent and hitting them with a hard hitting weapon. But from the perks, one perk that you will be running, I guess 100% of the time, every single barbarian will be running, is Robust. Robust gives you 10% max health bonus, and taking into account that barbarians have naturally a lot of HP, 142. It's the highest base HP out of every single class. Just putting on robust gives you 14 HP flat, and 14 HP is a lot for Dark and Darker. 14 HP is not a minimal amount, it's quite a considerable amount, and you always use robust. So that's the one perk you always kind of run. The next top prio perk that most of the time you will be running is Iron Will. In Season 10, Wizards got a lot of love, a lot of new spells, a lot of new perks, and Iron Will gives you flat magic resistance and gives you immunity to knockbacks. So that means if you run upon a wizard, it's hard for them to kind of fireball you on your feet and push you away and stuff. So this helps you a lot. And naturally speaking, Barbarian is considered as an anti-magic class because you also have quite a high base magic resistance, about 30% magic resistance. If I remove this, it's 11%, but if you put Iron Will here, you can see your magic resistance goes up drastically. So Barbarian is kind of considered a anti-caster class. That's that. So Iron Will, I would suggest you to run, especially this is very useful in trios environment. In solos, sometimes you may choose to not run it. Again, it depends on your playstyle, but you will need to choose your fights wisely. You need to take into consideration that you do not have Iron Will, and it's not gonna be as easy to just brainlessly run upon any caster and smack them down with your axe. So that's that. So that's the Iron Will. The next perk, which is more of a solo thing, here we have a Potion Chugger. Potion Chugger is one of the strongest perks Barbarian has because it gives you 20% increased potency towards all drinks. So that means the potions you use will heal you for 20% more, and the overall healing time of the potion takes 50% less time. So that means you heal more of the amount that the potion usually would heal you in less time. This is incredibly strong, especially in solos where you might be fighting a range classes. They might be poking you and using doorways, using corners, chugging potions gives you enough sustain to win your fights. In trios, though, Potion Chugger might not be that relevant because you have a team, you have a peel, you can disengage. It's not always the one-on-one scenario where you are fighting someone one-on-one and you need to heal as soon as possible. And also sometimes in trios you might have a cleric or druid that will heal you, so you don't feel the need in Potion Chugger. This is more of a solo thing. And following up, another good perk, we have Morale Boost. This you can use both in solos, duos, and trios. So after getting a kill, you will get 25% of your maximum HP back instantly. So you will heal instantly. This was this is very good in like arena trios environment if you are the primarily frontline or the primarily damage dealer for the team. So like if you are playing a buff bowl where you have two supporting team members, let's say a cleric and a bard, and the goal of them is to buff you as much as they can with different buffs, heal you from behind, and you just go in, do damage, try to kill someone, and if you manage to kill someone, you get 25% maximum health back. Because you are a barbarian, that's a significant amount of health, so you heal up, then you can continue fighting, you kill more people, you get instantly this back, and so on and so on. If you are playing solos and your goal is to fight in contested areas, like bosses, piles where you expect a lot of third party, this can be helpful as well, because usually what tends to happen, let's say you go to a hotspot, you fight someone, you kill them, then you are like less than half HP because you just came out of combat, and third party happens. Somebody rushes in and they chase you down and they kill you because you are low on HP. So this can help in solos as well, but I haven't seen many barbs running this recently. The next perk you should consider to use is axe specialization, because it gives you 3 weapon damage when using axe type weapons, and frankly majority of the weapons that you will be using as barbarian most of the time, or the best weapons that you use as a barbarian most of the time, are axes, which is Bardiche and Felling Axe. Felling Axe and Bardiche I consider at this point in the current state of the game the best choices for barbarian. Felling Axe, in my opinion, right now is the best weapon to use, but it has quite a high skill ceiling because it is also the shortest weapon in the game in terms of reach. So if you miss with Felling Axe, that might come might become very costly miss for you. So you need to develop quite a good game sense and game mechanics in order to be good with Felling Axe. But it also has the highest DPS in the game. If you can keep hitting your opponent with Felling Axe, it does insane amount of damage. So yeah. And the next best choice of a weapon will be the Bardiche. Bardiche is one of the heaviest hitting weapons in the game. After Halberd, it has the highest base damage, it does a tons of damage, and it is also considered an axe. So axe specialization works with Bardiche. Because of the fact that axe specialization works with Bardiche and Felling Axe, and also your Francisca axes, which are, let's, if we remember, your only range option, it makes axe specialization a one of the most used and very good perk if you are running axes. In case you decide to not run axes for whatever reason, like if you are running Wormhole or a club, which I wouldn't recommend any of those, then obviously you don't need the axe specialization. So already with these 3 perks we have a pretty nice base outlined. So if you are running a barbarian in solos, this is what your foundation will be looking like. So you will be using robust and axe specialization, potion chugger I recommend, and the last perk can be whatever you choose. And the choice on what you do there will depend on a map, on a playstyle, on your goals, and what you're trying to achieve. If you are playing in a goblin caves or ice caves, crush might be very useful. If your goal is to PvP and run down people and find enemies and fight them, Crush is one of the best perk choices because it allows you to destroy doors in one hit. So usually what the counterplay to Barbarian is spacing, running away, and playing so-called door and doorer, where you close the door on top of them. Barbarians have very low base interaction speed, so it takes more time for them to open the door than compared to other classes, and you can disengage and run away and heal. Crush fixes the problem where if someone runs from you and they close the door in your face, you just smack it down with your axe and continue chasing them. So Crush is very good option for you. Other than that, you can choose a Skull Splitter or Executioner. This will give you more damage on a headshots. This is like pure increase to your damage you do. But This is also situational because you will need to be able to land your headshots. Otherwise, if you are not landing headshots, you have dead perks sitting here. So if you don't want a dead perk, Berserker is your go-to choice. This is another combat perk where within the fight, lower your HP gets, more damage and the move speed you get, so it helps you with combat. But I usually do not run Berserker. Instead, I run Iron Will just because from time to time I face wizards and warlocks, and Iron Will, just the base 75 magic resistance, is quite helpful, even without the knockback immunity effect, but knockback immunity helps a lot as well. So this would be my go-to setup for a solo gameplay, and if I'm planning on playing trios, probably I would replace the Potion Chagger with Morale Boost or Berserker. So this would be my go-to perk setup. I recommend you giving a try and playing with this setup. This setup is also very nice in Squire to Riches. I don't play Squire to Riches much. My gameplay look is primarily focused on a high roller, but this will just work just fine in Squire to Riches. So let's go to the set of skills you need to be using on Barbarian. So Barbarian has 11 skills in total, and some of them are kind of lackluster and some, but majority of them are really good, and again will be depending on the environment you are playing. So Rage is one of the most used skills, especially in solos. If you're playing solos, you need to run Rage. What it does, you activate it for 6 seconds, you get move speed, 7% more move speed. 7% more move speed is quite a lot. Don't think that 7% is like negligible amount. You gain 10 strength, but you lose 5% physical damage reduction, which honestly is not gonna make much difference because you usually use rage to gap close or chase down people. So consider this as a skill that when you activate will just give you flat move speed bonus. Just you can kind of, the 10 strength is nice, physical damage reduction sucks, but they don't make much difference. The move speed gain is what is making the difference. The next skill you can use in solos, and you can choose from a couple there. Savage Roar, which recently got nerfed. What Savage Roar does is reduces your enemy's move speed in an area after you shout for 6 seconds. It reduces it slightly, 2.5%. It's not a lot, but if you're chasing someone, if you press Rage and Savage Roar, so you reduce their move speed and you gain move speed, this allows you to catch up to people, even sometimes the fastest classes like rogues or move speed stacking rangers. So very nice. And in a one-on-one physical fight scenario where, let's say, you're fighting another barbarian, a fighter, or a druid, or whatever deals physical damage, cutting their damage down by 20% can be a deciding factor. In trios, Savage Roar, I think one of the best skills to use. Slows down again enemies and gives them, the entire enemy team can get like 20% physical damage reduction on their damage they dealt. So really nice one. I'm recommending. My go-to skill though in solos, and this is mostly like a, you need to have an experience to use this, is Achilles Strike. Achilles Strike kind of does what Savage Roar does in terms of reducing the enemy's move speed, but it reduces the move speed by 30%. 30% is kind of, they just cannot walk away for 2 seconds. Combining it with Rage if you hit someone with a killing strike, you are on top of them for a couple seconds at least, so you can put in 2 to 3 hits freely. And as a barbarian, that's usually enough to kill your enemy. So a killing strike primarily suggests to use in solos, and only in a case if you feel you are struggling, you're facing a lot of squishy and fast moving classes that guide you, and you are not able to get on top of them with rage and savage roar. I personally run Achilles Strike because I play Ice Caves a lot, and Ice Abyss Ice Caves is just flooded with rogues that can double jump, they are fast, they do wall climb, etc. So I use Achilles Strike, which gives me an option to catch them. Achilles Strike works with any sort of damage, including your Francisca axis. So the idea here is you use Achilles Strike and you throw a Francisca axe, you hit your opponent, they are slowed down for 2 seconds. With the rage, you catch up to them, you hit them twice in the head, and they die. If they're, especially if they are squishy class. If you, although to make Achilles work, you actually need to hit that Francisca axe. So if it happens that you miss, then I guess it sucks for you. So you either need to disengage, or depending on the situation, you may continue chasing until your Achilles strike will be back off cooldown. But right now, this is my choice here. The next most popular choice that works both in solos and trios is Whirlwind. Whirlwind is, I think, busted and very OP spell on Barbarian, although it got nerfed slightly recently. This works only with two-handed weapons, like your Bardish that you will be using most of the times. And what it does, you just start spinning in place, not in place, but you can move while spinning, and you spin 3 times, and you just AoE hit everything around you, and it deals 90% of the weapon's damage to all nearby enemies. So technically, with the Whirlwind, you can hit an enemy 3 times in a span of like 0.5 second if you spin like 1.5 seconds if you spin like 3 times and hit them, and you can 100 to 0 anyone basically with this if you land proper hits. Very strong in trios, although you need to be careful and your team needs to be careful because, as I said, it's an AoE, you spin around you, so you might as well hit your teammates, so they need to be cautious of your spell over here. In solos, again, you can just 100 to 0 anyone. The good part with Whirlwind is it is not getting stopped with any environmental hits. That means while spinning, if you hit walls, doors, objects, anything, you just keep spinning and your bardiche or axe or whatever you use goes through everything. So that makes this even stronger and even more busted. Okay, and the last one that I want to discuss from the skills is a grappling hook. Also was a very popular option that was introduced a season ago. And what grappling hook does is just a hook, you start spinning, you throw it for a quite a noticeable distance, 4 meters. 4 meters is not too far, but it's good enough to hook someone, and if you hit them, you just pull them towards yourself. Very useful again versus squishy classes or classes that tend to run away from you or want to fight you from a distance. But getting used to grappling hook is something you might need to play and train for a while before you will get the idea of it and will be able to land it consistently. Also, people are not standing there in their place, they are dodging all the time. So other skills, hurl weapon, fun, allows you to throw your axes, which deals a lot of damage, but again, you need to hit them. That means, and if you throw your axe, you don't have an axe in your hand, so you need to keep additional heavy like access or bandishes in your inventory. I don't like it. Some people use it just for sake of using or for fun. I don't know. I personally don't think this is a um, good skill to use. Warcry, Warcry is something that is good on paper, but I've used it many times and I never felt that it was helping. What it does when you activate it, you and your entire team within 7.5 meters radius, they get 20% max health bonus for the. So it just gives you flat HP. This, if you have like a 200 HP, if you are very geared and you have 200 HP, this will give you like 40 HP, which is very considerable amount. Okay, it's not something to sleep on, but I don't know, you need to use it and feel for yourself. I think Warcry is worth using if you are very geared and if you are running double frontline comp. In solos, I don't know, you might use it in solos, but preferably you would use Savage Roar if you are going into melee fight, or you can combine like Savage Roar with Warcry, but this will give you a tons of effective HP because you are reducing the enemy's physical damage by 20% and you are gaining 20% mark HP. So technically this means in just a boxing fight where you hit each other smack each other in the face, like two barbarians, you probably will win, but again, this only will work if you are facing another melee class that is willing to fight you one-on-one in face-to-face scenario. Reckless Attack was the most broken skill for a long time on Barbarian. What it does, it gives you 50% armor penetration for your next attack. So that means basically half of the enemy's physical damage reduction is ignored within one swing. And if you before this was not 50%, it was, I believe, 80% or 75%. I don't remember the numbers. But basically, what you could do is if you were a geared barbarian, you would enable reckless attack and you would swing and hit a fully plated, like physical damage reduction geared fighter in the head, and it would technically just one shot them because their armor was nothing, and then you might have needed like one additional follow-up hit to kill them. Yeah, that's that. But when you enable this, you get 100, your armor is reduced by 100. That's a lot. You basically lose tons of physical damage reduction yourself, but this is only affecting you if, let's say, you enable it and then you take 2-3 arrows to the chest and it will be very painful. But other than that, it's not. Now with the rise of wizards, I don't see that many plate fighters, especially in solos. Most of the solos is outran by rogues, wizards, warlocks, and barbarians. So I don't see much use in reckless attack right now. Okay. Going to the gear. If we that's the perks and skills to use. Now let's talk about the gear, what you will be using. So as for weapons, it's obvious, Bardiche and Felling Axe. As for the rest of the gear, we again want to prioritize strength, vigor, and dexterity as our main stats. So any type of gear that you will be able to find in the dungeon that gives those stats are good for Barbarian. Generally speaking, if you find a piece of gear that has +2 or if +3 then better of one of those desired attributes, you can consider taking that gear yourself and from the dungeon and using it. So for example, we can see here 3 strength, 3 dexterity, 2 dexterity, 2 agi, 2 vig, 3 dexterity. So if I see a piece of gear that Barbarian can wear, with a +2 or more of a useful stat, I usually take those. If you roll 2 useful stats on it, even better. Other than that, stats you want to prioritize beside the main base stats of strength, vigor, and dexterity, which will give you damage, HP. You also might want armor penetration, gears that roll armor penetration on them. Headshot damage bonus can be good. Stats that roll additional armor or physical damage reduction, physical power, physical damage bonus, or action speed. Those are the primary stats you are looking to wear on Barbarian. So as a main stats, vigor, strength, dexterity, agility secondary. If you have it on your gear, that's fine. If not, you just want to focus on strength, vigor, and dex. Then action speed, headshot damage bonus, physical power, physical damage bonus, and physical damage reduction. Or if you want to be very specific on your build, you can also build for magic damage reduction. Let's say you are playing an arena and the arena is overrun with wizards and you want a lot of magic resistance, so you could do that. Overall, for high roller, at the end of the day, your ideal gear set will be looks something like this, where you will be above 180 HP. Your physical damage reduction most of the time will be on a lower end, somewhere between 35 to 45 PDR, unless you specifically focus for it, and you will have about 20 to 35 40% physical power bonus, depending on, again, on the gear and stats you will be able to roll. This current gear set that I have here, I've had couple sets like this, so I think over past 3 days I lost another 3 gear sets that were looking like this. But so basically one gear set lasts me a full play session on a day before I lose it, and I feel very strong. This is not like a super beast gear. As you can see, the stats there are not like something insane, like this Northern Full Tunic, 2 weak, 2 fist power. Probably, well, excluding the Wind Weaver, if we exclude this and add something else over here, so like basic, like a Bardish or something, this entire gear set will, or similar gear set will cost you about like 7 to 10,000 gold, including all the gems and stuff that you will be using to gem. And even if you can go even more budget on this, for example, you might not buy a dark leather leggings with +3 vigor, which might be costly. You might buy one with 2 vigor, so you will lose 1 vig, but you will save a lot of gold on it, and overall you will be very competitive in the HR. You basically can 1v1 any class unless they are like super ultra beast out and just gear diff you. And with this gear set, I've been running in ice caves. I farmed a bunch of artifacts, made a lot of kills, a bunch of rogues, other barbarians, bards, even wizards. So yeah, I think Barb is in a pretty good spot right now this season, and it's gonna be one of more user-friendly classes for the beginners to start playing on. So I would say, I would recommend just hop on Bard, and just start playing. Probably your Squire to Riches is the best place if you want to sharpen your PvP skills. And other than that, once you get some basic gameplay knowledge, I would recommend you going to higher roller and avoiding like boss areas or highly contested areas. Just stick to the edges of the map. High roller is good with that, that even you can just hop on high roller, loot couple modules, and get out with bunch of gold and gear. So make money that way until you can build yourself a competitive kit. Yeah, so that's gonna be a kind of beginner guide on a barbarian. I'm planning on doing the fighter next. So I'll see you next time. If you will have any questions or any specific type of guides you would like to see, you can write a comment and I'll try to cover that topic. I'm planning on covering topics like gold farming, kit building, the easiest way to get yourself a gear sets and farm, and how to approach high roller, etc., etc., stuff like that. So I'll see you soon. Have a nice day.